So Netflix's Avatar: The Last Airbender has been anticipated by fans for years. But unfortunately, as the original creators left the project and due to the showrunners' controversial changes to the source material, the same enthusiasm turned into skepticism. And after finishing the show, I'd have to say that I found Netflix's Avatar to be a disappointing disaster. And by far, one of the most disappointing aspects of the show is how it disrespected Sokka's character. So, in today's video, my aim is to look at Netflix's mishandling of Sokka and how they missed the point of his journey in the cartoon. Now, before the show aired, it was made apparent that Sokka's sexism was going to be dialed down to fit modern times. And although I understand the showrunner's sentiment, I wholeheartedly disagree with their decision. And the reason for my disagreement lies in the fact that Sokka's sexism is a part of his character growth. See, in the cartoon, Sokka is humbled by his encounters with Suki, Yue, and Toph, and learns to respect his female peers. Also, Sokka's sexism caused tension between him and Katara. But with Katara being headstrong in her ideals and her ambition, Sokka learns to let go of his overprotectiveness of his sister and to trust her to act independently. Therefore, these examples show how Sokka's flaws became obsolete once exposed to the greater world. But apparently, the showrunners don't understand how a character flaw can create compelling stories. And this lack of understanding of nuance leads Sokka and his relationships to lack depth in live action. And the perfect example of this notion is Sokka's relationship with Suki. Now, the appearance of the Kyoshi warriors is integral to Sokka's development. See, in the cartoon, Sokka underestimates the Kyoshi warriors, and later, when challenged by Suki, Sokka suffers a humiliating defeat. But after being humbled, Sokka returns to Suki and begs on his knees, asking her to teach him her ways. Suki obliges, and through her lessons, Sokka learns the virtues of being a Kyoshi warrior.
The silk thread symbolizes a brave blood that flows through our veins. The gold insignia represents the honor of the warrior's heart.
Bravery and honor.
And with his newfound respect, Sokka apologizes to Suki for his disrespect, to which Suki kisses him on the cheek, accepting his apology. Now this subplot is so great because it shows Sokka's growth from being stubborn to being humble enough to ask for assistance from those he wrongfully ridiculed. And from this experience, Sokka and Suki become friends, giving room for their relationship to grow later. But how does Netflix handle this relationship? Well, for starters, without Sokka's sexism, there's no reason for Sokka and Suki to be pulled together. Instead, Sokka and Suki's relationship is more superficial, as Suki develops feelings for Sokka because he's a semi-attractive foreign boy. And this is apparent when Suki stumbles upon Sokka shirtless and awkwardly gawks at him. And later, when the two spar, their session is filled with awkward moments of sexual tension, as Suki finds difficulty staying composed. However, even worse, Suki admits to Sokka that she envies him because he gets to travel the world while she's stuck on Kyoshi Island. And because of her isolation, Suki mentions how she's always wondered what she'll find out in the world. But now that she met Sokka, she is certain that he is the one she's been seeking for.
I've always wondered what I'd find. Now I know.
Now, not only did this romance lack any meaningful substance, it also depleted Suki and Sokka's characters as their relationship was based on lust rather than mutual respect like in the cartoon. Therefore, Suki appears thirsty and desperate, which is a far cry from her cartoon counterpart who was respectable, autonomous, and disciplined. And instead of being written as an admirable character with noteworthy attributes, in live action, Suki is written as a poor girl desperate to see the outside world who is indebted to a foreign boy for bringing the world to her. Now, with Sokka and Suki's relationship, we see how the writers diluted their relationship as their encounters seemed senseless and lacked any depth. But in OMASHU, Sokka's character assassination is furthered as Sokka is displayed to be a jealous and arrogant jerk. Let me explain. If we look at the third episode, Jet is introduced and helps Team Avatar enter OMASHU. And as he's helping, he playfully flirts with Katara. But from this banter, Sokka grows upset. Now, I get the big bro's gotta protect little sister trope. That's fine if the scene stood on its own. But because it takes place right after Sokka's entanglement with Suki, Sokka appears as a hypocritical jerk instead of an overprotective brother. But that's not all. Later, in the Cave of Two Lovers, Sokka and Katara get into an argument after being lost. Sokka suggests turning off their lanterns to follow the light emitting from the cave's crystals. But Katara is skeptical as Sokka's plan was inspired by minstrels. But instead of respecting his sister's concerns, Sokka pathetically pouts and ignores Katara. Sensing that her brother's upset, Katara tells Sokka to wait, to which Sokka responds,
Katara, what is your problem?
My problem is you're not taking me seriously.
This again.
leading them to argue. But after sharing a sappy discourse about their gran, seal jerky, and noodles, the two make up. Not because they organically solve their differences, but because the poorly written and poorly paced plot demanded them to make up in enough time to save Aang. But one reason as to why I hate this sequence is because you can tell the writers wanted this sibling quarrel to seem like a meaningful conversation. But instead, Sokka came across as an immature and impatient jerk who lashed out at Katara for questioning his authority.
And you don't get to just ignore me.
I can't if you're being an idiot.
Dad put me in
You're
charge.
not Dad.
However, I also hated how in their argument, Sokka goes as low to accuse Katara for falling for a terrorist, referring to Jet, thereby shaming her.
And you keep acting like you know everything when you couldn't even tell that a traitor was flat out lying to you.
Says the girl who fell for a terrorist.
That's not what.
And this is disappointing because although Sokka and Katara have their differences, Sokka from the cartoon would be more empathetic to Katara for making an honest mistake. But even if Sokka was right in his accusation, his argument is nullified because Katara stopped Jet when she discovered his true intentions. Therefore, in OMASHU, Sokka shows his unpleasant qualities as he disapproves of Katara and Jet's relationship for no reason, shows his arrogance and impatience once Katara reasonably questions him, and is disrespectful to Katara when she makes an honest mistake. Now, before I discuss how Netflix absolutely butchered Sokka and Yui's relationship, I want to discuss why this relationship worked in the cartoon first. So, Sokka and Yui's relationship begins when he sees her from afar and admires her beauty. And later, Sokka meets Yui at a feast and asks her out. But after their date, Yui feels guilty because as the tribe's princess, she must marry Han for political reasons. Now, despite this news, Sokka still persists in courting Yui, and as a result, the two agree to be just friends. However, this affair is quickly dismantled as Yui's guilt is too much for her to bear. But when we see Han and see how poorly he behaves, we feel sorry for Yui as she is confined to marry someone with non-redeemable qualities. So, by comparison, we see why Yui fell for Sokka. It's because he's more down to earth, unlike the pretentious Han, who's emblematic of their tribe's orthodoxical customs. Therefore, due to her circumstances, Yue finds Sokka attractive because given her traditional lifestyle, Sokka is a breath of fresh air. But in Netflix's adaptation, this relationship makes no sense at all. For example, Yue instantly falls for Sokka without even knowing him and shares her vulnerabilities with him unsolicited. But later on, Yue reveals that she had met Sokka before in the spirit realm, as she's the spirit fox. And although this explained their familiarity, it's not a strong enough reason to explain why Yue fell for Sokka instantaneously, as their encounter in the spirit world was brief. And at Kodak's temple, Sokka complains again about how he's not a warrior and is a disappointment to his father, which is an annoying grievance to hear again, as Sokka repeats it with Suki, Sai and OMASHU, and Katara at the Cave of Two Lovers.
To be honest, where I'm from, there's not much call for a real warrior.
I think you're a real warrior.
Dad doesn't really pay attention to stuff like this. He's got more important things to worry about. He's a warrior.
But it was nice to hear someone tell me I had something to offer the world. Besides my superior fighting skills.
You led the tribe and protected us with nobody to help you. Dad never had to bear that kind of burden alone.
But despite going on a journey across the world, he is still self-pitying. But like the others, Yue indulges in Sokka's self-pity and assures him that he's a true warrior because in the spirit realm, he was willing to help his friends, which is basic human decency. And after being propped up for doing the bare minimum, Sokka asked Yue why she rejected Han, to which she answers that although Han is a great man, he's not the man of her dreams, and that Sokka is. Now, by comparing this relationship from the cartoon to the live-action adaptation, it's clear that the writers did not understand why Sokka was a more attractive option for Yue than Han. Because in the live-action adaptation, Han is literally an amazing person. He's honorable, respectable, capable, and an amazing leader. He's everything Sokka isn't and aspires to be.
Yue, she's dedicated, kind, generous. She represents the highest ideals of our tribe. She is the best of us.
Me? You want to ask me about fighting?
You have something none of us have. Experience.
No! We'll cover your retreat. I stood on the sidelines while others fought and died, being the warrior I could never be.
And on the contrary, there is nothing remarkable about the live-action version of Sokka. He's a terrible leader as he doesn't listen to his peers.
Besides, I saw Sai talking to the firebender. He's the traitor.
You don't know what you saw.
Is often disrespectful.
I knew he was hiding something. When the world needed the Avatar the most, he vanished. Because he's a coward. He ran and people died.
Complains a lot.
It also means I have the ability to visit the spirit world. In my dreams.
So you pop over there just for fun?
Lies about being a formidable warrior numerous times.
It's great in combat and hunting and...
Hunting.
Yeah, hunting. For tiger whales.
And unlike his animated counterpart, is unfunny and uncharismatic.
My name's Sokka. Rhymes with Akka and Waka Waka.
But somehow, the writers want us to believe that this pathetic excuse for Sokka is a better choice for Yue than Han. And to make matters worse, after witnessing his girlfriend die and witnessing the deaths of hundreds by the Fire Nation, this idiot says,
So, anyone else hungry?
Anyways, if it wasn't clear already, I hate this version of Sokka. He's unfunny, self-pitying, arrogant, and is always complaining about something. But for some reason, the writers want to make us believe that despite his lack of admirable qualities, he's a remarkable leader and has every girl he desires lusting after him. Give me a fucking break.